Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Bruchim Habaim, welcome. We are so pleased to have you with us to celebrate Shabbat, to celebrate a wonderful occasion in the Bierman family, to celebrate a wonderful occasion in the Temple Road of Shalom family, as Micah becomes Bar Mitzvah here in the midst of an intimate and important congregational group, including a few members of his family, but lots of people with us through the e-waves, on Zoom, and on our live stream. We are so glad all of you are here with us, and we hope that you are ready and able to participate even from home. We're going to feel your support. We know it virtually, and in order for you to do that, I'd like to let you know how. If you're watching on the live stream, just above this picture is a link to the prayer book where Micah will, and the cantor and myself will be leading services, and we hope you'll click on that and maybe double your screen so you can follow the prayer book and follow and see us at the same time. It's in the chat, I believe, for those people on Zoom, and this will enable us to be united as a congregation in worship and in music today, making this day a day of support of Micah, as he knows he's going to know you're there with him. So before we turn to the prayer book, before we get to that text that I just referred to, it's our custom here at Road of Shalom to pause at this moment in the service to invite the parents of our Bar Mitzvah, Jill and Howie, to take a private moment with Micah to speak their own words of love and blessing on this important day. So I'd invite the three of you to take some private space as we also share another opening song to bring us into a spiritual moment together as a congregation.
And now, Micah, if you'll come up to the podium down here, and everyone else, please rise in body or spirit and join us in singing the Baruch Hu on page 195. Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach Baruch Adonai HaMevorach
Please join me in Yotzer Or if you are comfortable with the Hebrew. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam Yotzer Or uvarech choshech oseh shalom uvarei et hakol hameir la'aretz v'ladarim ala habarachamim uvtuvo mechadesh b'chol yom tamid maseh v'reishit ma rabu ma'asecha Adonai kulam bechochma asita malach haaretz kinyanecha titbarach Adonai Eloheinu al sheva ma'aseh yadecha va'al ma'or she'asita yifaru chasela or chadas al tion ta'ir v'nizkeh chulanu mehera le'oro Baruch atah Adonai Yotzer HaMeorot. Our service continues on page 198 with the first paragraph of Ahava Rabbah. Please join me. Ahava Rabbah Ahavtanu Adonai Eloheinu Chem la gedola vitera Chamalta aleinu Bavor avotenu Ve'imotenu Shebachu vecha vatlamden chukei chayim. Kein techonenu utlamdenu hamrachem rachem aleinu v'tein belibenu lehavin ulehaskil lishmoa lilmod ulamed lishmor v'laasot ukayem et kol divrei Talmud Toratecha be'ahava. We continue in English responsively on the next page. O God, inspiration and guide for all, you have spoken in 1,000 tongues for us to hear, in every land and every age. Your children have heard you and imagined you in separate ways, and yet, O God, you are one, unifier of humanity.
We give thanks for the sages and teachers who bring us understanding of your will. Gratefully we recall the lawgivers and prophets, the psalmists and sages of Israel. And joyfully we remember that from the dawn of Israel's life, we would turn to you and find purpose.
May the teachings of our ancestors live on in our minds, and their passion for righteousness stir our hearts. Help us to live so that our daily conduct reveals the beauty and wisdom of your truth. Baruch atah Adonai, habocher ba'amo Yisrael be'ahava. Please join me as we chant Ve'ahavta together on page 201. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavecha v'chol nafshecha u'v'chol me'odecha v'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anuchi mitzavecha hayom alevavecha Vishinantam levanecha v'dibartam bam b'shivtecha b'veitecha ulechtecha v'aderech u'shochbecha uvkumecha ukshartam le'ot al yadeha v'hayu letotafot b'neinecha uchtavtam al mezuzot beitecha u'visharecha Leman tiskeru Fasitem ekol mitzvotai, v'hitem kedoshim lelehechem. Ani Adonai Elohechem, asher hotzei tiechem me'eretz Mitzrayim, v'hiyot lechem lelohim. Ani Adonai Elohechem. Please join me in the English. Love Adonai your God with every heartbeat, with every breath, with every conscious act. Keep in mind the words I command you today. Teach them to your children. Talk about them at work, whether you are tired or you are rested. Let them guide the work of your hands. Keep them in the forefront of your vision. Do not leave them at the doorway of your house or outside your gate. They are reminded to do all of my mitzvot, so that you can be holy for God. I am Adonai your God. I led you out of Egypt to become your God. I am Adonai your God. Page 203. Sing the song of men and women, joined in understanding and respect, the song of God's miracles, an earth protected and cherished, a gift for our children and the generations to come, the song of a land once ravished by war, now quiet and content, her soldiers home to leave no more, the song of a world redeemed, the song of peace.
Who is like you, Adonai? Who is like you, Adonai? Mi chamocha bailim Adonai, mi kamocha nedar b'kodesh, nora tehilot osei fele, nora tehilot osei fele. Shira chadasha shibchu geulim leshimcha, asafat hayam yachad kulam hodu vehimlichu ve'ameru Adonai yimloch leolam va'ed. Yai lai lai lai, yai lai 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 lai, yai lai 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 lai, yai lai 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 lai, yai lai 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 lai. Tzur Yisrael, kuma be'ezrat Yisrael, ufedechinu mecha Yehuda ve'Yisrael. Go'aleinu Adonai tzvaot shemo, kedosh Yisrael. Baruch atah Adonai, Ga'al Yisrael. Won't you please rise in body or spirit and join me on page 205 for the Amidah. Adonai sefatai tiftach ufi agid tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, ve'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, ve'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, ve'Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, Ve'konei Hakol, Ve'zocher Chasdei Avot Ve'imahot, Umevi Geula Livnei V'neihem, Leman Shemo Be'ahava, Melech Ozer U'Moshia U'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham, Ve'ezrat Sarah. Page 207. Atah Gibor Leolam Adonai, Mechayei Hakol, Atah Rav Lehoshia, Mashiv HaRuach, Umorid HaGashem, Mechalkel Chaim Bechesed, Mechayei HaKol Berachamim Rabim. סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר. מי כמוך בעל גבורות ומי דומה לך, מלך ממית ומחיה ומצמיח ישועה, ונאמן אתה להחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני מחיי הכל. נקדש את שמך בעולם, כשם שמקדישים אותו בשמי מרום, כך כתוב על יד נביאך, וקרא זה אל זה ואמר, קדוש 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 אדוני צבאות, מלוך כל הארץ כבודו. אדיר אדירנו אדוני, אדוננו מאדיר שמך בכל הארץ. ברוך כבוד אדוני ממקומו. אחד הוא אלוהינו, הוא אבינו, הוא מלכנו, הוא מושיענו והוא ישמיענו, ברחמיו לעיני כל חי. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, ימלוך אדוני לעולם, אלוהיך ציון לדור ודור. הללויה. לדור ודור נגיד גודלך, ולנצח נצחים קדושתך נקדיש, ושבחך אלוהינו מפינו לא ימוש לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש.
We continue on page 211. Won't you please be seated? The next prayers take us into the appreciation for the special time of Shabbat. Eloheinu ve'Elohei avotenu ve'imotenu ritzei v'imnuchatenu kadshenu b'mitzvotecha v'ten helkenu b'toratecha. Tzab'enu mituvecha v'samchenu b'shuatecha v'taher libenu la'ovdecha be'emet v'chanchilenu Adonai Eloheinu be'ahava uvratzon Shabbat kodshecha v'yanuchu v'Yisrael mekadesh shemecha baruch ata Adonai mekadesh haShabbat. The meaning of Shabbat is to celebrate time rather than space. 6 days a week we live under the tyranny of things of space. On Shabbat we try to become attuned to holiness in time. It is a day on which we are called upon to share in what is eternal in time and to turn from the results of creation to the mystery of creation, from the world of creation to the creation of the world. And thus a very special day for all of us as well. And this section of our service takes us through to the most important message of all, ending with prayers of peace for shalom. On page 216, if you're following in the prayer book, Sim Shalom, a well-known Shabbat morning prayer, asking God and reminding us to continually pursue peace in the world. Sim shalom tova uvracha chen v'chesed b'rachamim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael amecha, barchenu yotzreinu kulanu ke'echad be'or panecha, Ki v'or panecha natata lanu, Adonai Eloheinu, Torat chayim v'ahavat chesed, utztaka uvracha v'rachamim v'chayim v'shalom, v'tov be'enecha levarech et amcha Yisrael, v'chol et uv'chol sha'a, bishlomecha, Baruch ata Adonai, hamivarech et amo Yisrael b'shalom. O God, may we never become complacent, faltering in our effort to build a world of peace. Let the nations know and understand that justice and right are better than dominion and conquest. May all come to see that it is not by might nor by power, but by your Spirit that life prevails. And from that prayer of peace, we move to a peaceful moment that we might have some time with our own private, our own personal, our individual prayers. We pray silently, and in a few moments we'll come back together for Oseh Shalom.
Oseh Shalom bimromav, Hu Yaseh Shalom Aleinu, Ve'al kol Yisrael, Ve'imeru Amen. Oseh Shalom bimromav, Hu Yaseh Shalom Aleinu, Ve'al kol Yisrael, Ve'imru Amen. Oseh Shalom bimromav, Hu Yaseh Shalom Aleinu, Ve'al kol Yisrael, Ve'imeru Amen. Oseh Shalom bimromav, Hu Yaseh Shalom Aleinu, Ve'al kol Yoshvei Tevel, Ve'imru Amen. Ve'imru Amen.
We've now come to the central part of our service, certainly the central part for Micah today, which is Seder Kriyat HaTorah, the service for the reading of the Torah, as it is part of our tradition, becoming our Bar Mitzvah, is demonstrated to the community through a young person's first time reading from the Torah scroll. And so this is a wonderful, exciting time, and I'm so glad that Micah, you are not only surrounded by loving family, but also and especially here with your grandmother. We always begin by not only acknowledging all the people who brought you to this day, the support of your parents, your brother, the wonderful tutor that you worked with, but also the special role that grandparents play. So we're so pleased that Bela Bierman is here with us, sitting next to Howie there, and here to celebrate this wonderful occasion, the Bar Mitzvah of your grandson, Micah. And of course, others who will be spotlighted and be doing Aliot, we're happy that you're here as well. Many people on Zoom, we hope that's going well for you. And we begin this special service through a tradition here in our congregation, which is the tradition of passing the Torah scroll from one generation to the next. So at this time, I'd like to invite you, Micah, to come forward to the center here of the sanctuary, along with your mom and dad, your grandmother as well. As Howie, you're going to grab our Torah scroll to pass it through the generations of your family.
In kamocha va'Elohim Adonai ve'ein kamasecha malechutecha malechut kol olamim umemshaltecha bechol dor v'dor.
Micah, as you receive this Torah, remember its teachings, its wisdom, and its history. Let it guide you this day and all days. As you embrace it, so may you embrace what it has meant for the Jewish people over the generations. Judaism is history and hope, learning and laughter. We pray that the story of the Jewish people continues brightly with you as you grow as a person and as a Jew. May you embrace the Torah your whole life.
Now we invite you, holding the Torah, Micah, to join us and all of us in the singing of Shema.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonenu, Kadosh Shemo. Gadlul Adonai iti, uneromema shemo yachdav.
And now, Howie, as you place the Torah back, we're going to ask Micah and Jill to make their way to the main Torah and get yourself ready for this morning's reading.
You can go ahead and set that on the stand to your left. And when you're ready, Micah, won't you read us your Torah intro?
The Torah portion for this Shabbat that I will be reading is called Terumah. It comes from the book of Exodus, and my Hebrew reading begins with chapter 25, verse 31. In this portion, God tells Moses to have the Israelites make the menorah that will be in the tabernacle.
And for the honor of the first Aliyah, we have Micah's cousins, Alec and Josh. They are on Zoom, so one of them will be doing one blessing and the other will be doing the other. Whenever you're ready.
Baruch Hu et Adonai Hamborach.
Baruch Adonai Hamborach leolam va'ed.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Amen. Ve'asita menorah zahav tahor mikesha te'aseh hamenorah yerecha v'kana gviaha kaftareha ufracheha mimena hiyu v'shisha kanim yotzeim mitidaha shlosha kinei menorah mitidaha echad ושלושה קני מנורה מצידה השני. שלושה גביעים משוקדים בקנה האחד, כפתור ופרח, ושלושה גביעים משוקדים בקנה האחד, כפתור ופרח, כן לששת הקנים היוצאים מן המנורה.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torat emet v'chayei natan b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Thank you, Alec and Josh. And for the honor of the second Aliyah, we would like to call up Bernard and Naomi, Micah's aunt and uncle, and they are here in person. So we'll have them come up to the podium.
Baruch Hu Adonai Hamvarach.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach Leolam Vaed.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach Leolam Vaed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Amen. Uvamenorah arba givim. Mishu kadim kaftoreha ufrecheha. V'chavtor tachat shnei hakanim mimena. V'chavtor tachat shnei hakanim mimena. V'chavtor tachat shnei hakanim mimena. L'sheshet hakanim hayotzeim min hamenorah. Kaftarehem muknotam mimena yehiu kula miksha achat zahav tahor.
Go ahead. Second blessing.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torat emet v'chayei olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Wonderful job. You can go have a seat. Thank you so much. And for the final and third Aliyah, we'll call up our Bar Mitzvah boy. Ya'amod, Ya'amod, Ya'amod. Habachur bar ha-mitzvah, Gedalia Shimon ben Nachman ve'Yehudit, la'aliyah la-Torah.
Baruch Hu Adonai Hamvorach.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach le'olam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Ve'asita et neroteha shiva ve'ela et neroteha ve'ir al ever paneha u'malkachecha u'machtotecha zahav tahor kikar zahav tahor ya'aseh yotza ekol ha'kelim ha'ele orei va'aseh betavnitam asher atam orei bachar. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torat emet v'chayei olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Wow, excellent job, Micah. And while you get yourself situated for your Haftorah, I'm going to invite your brother, Jonah, to come up and cover the Torah. Vezot haTorah asher sam Moshe lifnei bnei Yisrael al pi Adonai biyad Moshe. Yai lai 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 lai. Yai lai 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 lai. Thank you so much, Jonah. And Micah, when you're ready, read us your Haftarah intro.
We turn now to the Haftarah, or concluding reading of the Torah service. The Haftarah that I will read is from the book of 1 Kings, beginning with chapter 6, verse 1. King Solomon begins to build the temple in Jerusalem. The details are given. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bachar b'nviim tovim, v'ratzav divrehem hanemarim be'emet, baruch atah Adonai, habocher b'torah, uv'Moshe avdo, uv'Yisrael amo, uv'nviei ha'emet v'tzedek. Vayehi vishmonim shana ve'arba me'ot shana letzei bnei Israel Eretz Mitzrayim b'shana harvi'i b'chodesh zir hu hachodesh hasheni limloch Shlomo Al Yisrael, Vayiven habayit l'Adonai, v'habayit asher bana ha'melech Shlomo l'Adonai, shishim ama orko, v'esrim rachbo, u'shloshim ama komato, v'ha'olam al pnei hechal habayit, esrim ama orko, al pnei rochav habayit, Eser ba'ama rochbo al pnei habayit, vayas labayit holenei shikufim atumim, vayiven al kir habayit yatzia saviv, et kirot habayit saviv, lahechal veladevir, vayas laot saviv. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, Tzur kol ha'olamim, tzadik bechol hadorot, ha'el ha'ne'eman, ha'omer ve'oseh, ha'madaber u'mekayim, shechol devarav emet v'tzedek, al ha'torah, v'al ha'avodah, v'al ha'nevi'im, ve'al yom ha'shabbat hazeh, shinatata lanu, Adonai Eloheinu, likdushav linucha, lechavod ultifaret, al ha'kol, Adonai Eloheinu, Anachnu modim lach u'marhi otav yibarach shimcha b'fikol chai tamid le'olam va'ed baruch atah Adonai mekadesh haShabbat.
Amen. Micah, what a great job you have done on so much Hebrew. I get to be like your cheering. I know like everybody is like, let's see on Zoom. Let's see some action on the arms. Do you see them over there? They're shouting out to you. We know that you've done some awesome Hebrew reading, chanting, and thank you for that. And now I'm going to ask you or invite you to turn to your own personal words. We invite every young person to provide their own reflection on this day and the specialness of this Shabbat. And so over to you, Micah, to share your own sermon of the day.
Good morning. My Torah portion is Terumah. Now, I don't know if anyone here other than Rabbi Schwartzman has read my Torah portion, but I had a really hard time trying to find something meaningful in this passage. My brother Jonah got the golden calf passage. How easy is that? My passage talks in endless detail about building a huge, beautiful menorah. It specifically says how the base should be made of pure gold, and that its stand, its cups, calyxes, and petals shall be made of one piece. Then it says that there needs to be 3 branches issuing from each side, making it 7 branches in total. And then it says that the cups on the lampstand shall be shaped like almond blossoms, each with a calyx and petal. That's a lot of detail. Does anybody even know what a calyx is? I then thought to myself, there has to be more to this passage than this. So I read a little more, in the original Hebrew, of course. I learned that the entire Torah portion really talks about building the first sanctuary or tabernacle. During this time, the Israelites were wandering through the wilderness for about 40 years before finally arriving in the Holy Land. They needed to create a space for themselves where they could feel God's presence wherever they went. I can only imagine the incredible effort needed so they could stay together and gather as a community. The passage continues to describe in great detail how this tabernacle should be built. Pages upon pages on strict dimensions. For example, 3 cubits wide and 2.5 cubits long, and building materials like fine twisted linen and cloths of goat hair, and patterns how everything needed to be laid out. But as important as building the tabernacle was, it was just as important that it was able to be moved quickly and easily. Remember, the Jews were still traveling, so they had to be able to take it with them. And that's where I finally related to the story. I don't know if it's just me, but can anyone else think of a very uncertain time that is on everyone's minds these days? Something that maybe has caught everyone by surprise and made us all question how we could gather and stay a strong community. I learned from my Torah portion how the Israelites overcame their struggles and came together as a group to build a place of worship. Not only that, they had the benefit of having God's explicit instructions on how to build, assemble, and then disassemble the tabernacle. Even though these instructions were extremely detailed, they actually made the process easier. Don't you wish, especially in the beginning of COVID, that we had those kind of specific instructions like how to join a video or view gallery when we Zoomed, right, Grandma? But the point is, even with this pandemic and the limits we face in gathering together, we can have God, our friends, and family around us everywhere. Today we carry around our way of having our tabernacle in our pockets or on our desks, and this can give us the same comfort and community as the tabernacle did back then. Sure, we still need to give some people, Grandma again, those detailed building instructions on how to Zoom, sometimes multiple times. But eventually everybody gets the hang of it. Like the portable sanctuary in the desert, our electronic devices are a symbolic tabernacle, allowing us as Jews to celebrate holidays, worship at the temple, take a Hebrew class, celebrate a Bar Mitzvah, and stay connected with friends and family. But we need to remember, it's not the phone or computer that is doing this. It is all of us. We must continue the struggle of remaining together now and even after this virus ends. Even if it is hard, we need to continue to call our family and check in on them. We need to make sure we are in touch with our friends even if they move. We need to remain part of our Jewish community, and we need to keep the relationships we have and not find excuses when things just get a little tough. And speaking of community, family, and friends, I want to thank all of you at home for joining the Zoom and being a part of this special day. It is not what we had planned, but I'm happy to share my experiences with you today, at least virtually. I also want to say that despite all the challenges we face at this time, I am grateful for the new friends and experiences I've had and for what I've learned about my religion through my Bar Mitzvah preparations. I also want to thank the TRS clergy and my tutor, Canon Mandel, for helping me with my prayers and speech. I want to thank my parents and brother for putting up with me when all I really wanted to do was talk about me. And for my grandma and great uncle Vic, who are always there and happy to listen to me whenever I wanted to talk about me, which was very common. I want to thank my cousins Alec and Josh, who let me use the yad that they had used for their Bar Mitzvah to read from the Torah. I want to thank my family who traveled here to be part of my Bar Mitzvah today, and all of those who were planning on coming but couldn't due to COVID. And of course, I want to thank Patty, who is always there for me whenever I need her for anything. I hope everyone stays healthy and we'll be together in person to celebrate my Bar Mitzvah in June. I look forward to celebrating and actually seeing some unmasked faces very soon. Please remember to stay on after the service ends so I can say hi to all of you. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom, and as we say in Hebrew, Yesher Koach to you. Way to go, Micah. Why don't you, I think you deserve to sit down and rest. So I'm going to send you back to your chair with your family. They can, yes, high five you and all that kind of, yes, fist bump stuff. All right. I get to be the first of what will surely be many people, as I mentioned before, to say Mazal Tov to you, Micah. Congratulations for everything you've accomplished today, for everything this day represents. I'm so grateful that for a couple things, really. First of all, I'm just so grateful to you and your family for really grasping the essence of becoming a bar mitzvah. As we know from nearly a year now of people who have lost the bigger picture of what bar or bat mitzvah looks like, you and so many others have been able to step up and say, I know what's really important here. You know, I'm so glad you could be surrounded in person and then virtually by a circle of family and friends. We do hope you'll have a chance to celebrate your success in the future. But in the meantime, we're so glad that you've been able to do this in an intimate way with these important people. And you've grasped what is really, really the most important part of this occasion. And as much as I want to shout out that piece of this, I also really want to just give you praise and gratitude for these words that you spoke today. As important as it is in our tradition that young people learn our service and get the chance to chant Torah, if they can't look at this and find meaning and really bring it into their lives today, then all is potentially lost. But you so beautifully looked at this Torah portion and found a way to really connect it to today, to your life, and to our lives. And that is the essence of really what our relationship is as contemporary people with the Torah. That is what we're called to do. So thank you for doing that. And I want you to know that this Torah portion, Terumah, that you read, is actually a Temple Road of Shalom favorite. You may not know that, but it is. And as you walked into the sanctuary this morning, you may not know that you walked under words from your own Torah portion. So, friends, I hope you'll be back in our sanctuary in the not too distant future. When you do, when you step into the foyer, look up above the sanctuary doors where you will see the words from Micah's bigger portion, actually just a few sentences prior to your reading, the beginning of your reading. We read from the Torah of Terumah the words, Asuli Mikdash Vishochanti Bitocham, make for me a sacred place so that I may dwell among you. And those are God's words in preparation for the creation of the tabernacle. The way you talked about creating a sacred space is actually, I think, at the core of this Torah portion. Like you said, Micah, there's so much detail in here. You're wondering why. What, like too much about, the cubits and the linen and the this and the that. But actually, before we get to those details, God gives an instruction which speaks to your very words about how, in a way, we create and preserve the tabernacle in so many different ways. God says, as we have in the lintel coming into the sanctuary, make for me a mikdash, a place of holiness, so that I may dwell among you. Now, I think, Micah, you picked up on this in your own way. God says, actually, not make like a building, but make a place, a mikdash, which is a place of kadosh, or holiness. And then the text goes on to say, so that I may dwell among you. The text doesn't say, I may dwell in it. No, it says, I may dwell among you. When you create a moment that is kadosh, sacred, God dwells among us. God isn't looking for physical spaces. God is looking for moments that bespeak holiness. And you and I know, and all of us know, because there are all those people on Zoom, that we actually have learned to create holiness in all sorts of places we never thought we would find it. And that we can even experience holiness through virtual platforms. How awesome is that? And I think I want to just shout out again, Micah, how you have realized this, that it doesn't take a sanctuary to create a sacred space, that sanctity is about relationships and about what we experience between ourselves. So I want to just thank you and encourage you throughout your life, Micah, and all of us throughout our lives to work hard to create a mikdash, maybe with a small m. The mikdash with a capital M, there aren't actually capitals in Hebrew, but anyway, the mikdash with a capital mem might be this space, the tabernacle, the sanctuary, the worship place. But the mikdash is really any place that welcomes something sacred. So may you in your life, Micah, be in and help create many sacred spaces so that we and you will experience God in your midst. And in that theme, I want to share a blessing with you, a blessing that encourages you to do so and do these things in the future, and in doing so be a blessing, and that thanks you for the blessing, the holiness that you've created in your own way today through your leadership and through your very valuable and meaningful words. So I want to call you, Micah, to come and stand here at the edge of the bima, accompanied by your mom, your dad, your brother Jonah, as you all stand together and join in this special moment of blessing for your brother and son. Micah, may God bless you and may God keep you. As you have shone so beautifully on us today, may God shine upon you on all the days, the Shabbatot, the years of your life.
Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha Shalom.
And may God grant you all the things that you want, that you need, that you deserve, but especially shalom, which is peace. It's also wholeness, a peace and wholeness that lives inside of you, just you, a peace you share with your family, and a peace, a shalom that you bring into the world through the many gifts that you have. And let us say, Amen.
And now if you'll stay standing here facing us, and if Rabbi Schwartzman, will you open the ark for us, we'll rise and say the Aleinu. Page 282. Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שהוא נוטה שמיים ויוסד ארץ, ומושב יקרו בשמיים ממעל, ושכינת עוזו בגובהי מרומים, הוא אלוהינו אין עוד. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא, ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד. You may please be seated. If you'll turn with me to page 294, I believe, right? Yes, 294. Before we release Micah to go celebrate with you all, we'd also like to remember his grandfathers, Marvin Bierman and Jerome Coleman, who, though not with us, are still in our hearts and in our prayers, and we're definitely with him as he chanted Torah today. If you'll rise and say the Kaddish with me. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, be'alma divra chirutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chaye echon u'v'yom echon u'v'chaye dechol beit Yisrael, ba'agala u'v'zman kariv v'imru amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevarach le'alam u'lalmei almaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitba'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh, V'yit hadar, v'yit ale, v'yit halal, shemei d'kudesha brichu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, da'amiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shmaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'imromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. You may be seated. Thank you. So, Micah, amazing job today. This was a really big deal, but also kind of not a big deal because everyone in this room cares about you and loves you, and no matter what had happened, we would have still felt the same way. But you killed it, so it doesn't matter. And so in that vein, we'd love to tell you about some gifts that you're about to get. We can't give them to you in person, but we'll tell you about them. So you'll have something to look forward to. From the women of TRS, we have a copy of our Reform Movement's home prayer book in the hopes that you will use this throughout your Jewish life. You will receive an envelope with 2 gift certificates. The first is from NIFTY, the North American Federation of Temple Youth, to use towards travel in Israel during your high school years. And the second is a gift certificate from our youth committee and Tristy, plus the all-important travel mug. Finally, from the clergy, you will receive a Kiddush cup, and it is our hope that anytime you celebrate Shabbat, that you will use this Kiddush cup and remember what a wonderful day today was and how you just did such a beautiful job. And so for our last prayer, our last closing song, we'd like everyone to rise and turn to page 322 and join me in singing Ein Keloheinu. Ein Keloheinu, Ein Kadonenu, Ein Kemalkeinu, Ein Kemoshienu, Mi Keloheinu, Mi Kadonenu, Mi Kemalkeinu, Mi Kemoshienu, Nodel Eloheinu, Nodel Adonenu, Nodel Malkeinu, Nodel Moshienu, Baruch Eloheinu, Baruch Adonenu, Baruch Malkeinu, Baruch Moshienu, Atahu Eloheinu, Atahu Adonenu, Atahu Malkeinu, Atahu Moshienu.
Having been inspired by you, Micah, not only by your deeds, but especially by your words, may we go forward from this service, from this Shabbat, to bring greater sanctity in the world. May we realize we are carrying with us, as Micah said, our own mikdash ma'at, our own small sanctuary, because we are carrying with us continually the ability to create sacred and holy space through the way we relate to one another. May we do so all the time. May we do so on this Shabbat. May we together help make the world a better place. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.